And welcome back. Roy Rickstrew joins us now for this week's Dollars and Cents segment, sponsored by the Resource Center. Thank you for coming in. Good to see you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, guys.
Always good to have you on. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about disability
services.
Correct. New department over at the Resource Center. I'm happy to be a part, and we had put together the top 5 questions that I traditionally get for disability to talk about today.
Gotcha. Right. Okay, these are the top 5 questions. People come at you. Fortunately, you have him and he's got the answers. Okay, where do we start here? Do I need to pick a condition to file for?
Well, true. It's a common misconception that you have to pick one primary condition or you have to go with one condition to try to file for Social Security disability. The answer is that anything that interferes with your ability to do worker-like activities gets considered by Social Security. Walk, stand, lift, carry, understand, remember, socialize with others. So any condition that interferes with any one of those worker activities gets considered by Social Security. You may have a back condition primary, you may suffer from migraines as well. The migraines may impact your ability to meet attendance standards, for example. So it still has a bearing. So you take all of your conditions from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet.
Right, so, and that's the criteria that they use to determine?
That's correct. They determine if it's a severe impairment, whether it interferes or interrupts your ability to handle one of those worker activities, those core worker activities.
Kind of a percentage rating, how much?
No, VA has a percentage rating, but Social Security just has any impact initially qualifies it to be considered.
Okay, gotcha. All right, how is disability determined? So what do they look at with all that?
So Social Security takes the conditions that we identify as having an impact on worker activities, and they rate the severity of those. They determine the degree of impact, if you will. Then they put together what you're capable of doing at the most, a residual functioning capacity, they call it, and they compare that to what employers require at the least and decide if you can meet that standard.
Okay, very good. Let's go on to number 3 if we can. What jobs will SSA look at? What do you mean by jobs?
Well, Social Security looks at our past work, and then they look at placing us in other jobs in the national economy we may still be able to do.
Gotcha.
Right.
And so Social Security, dependent upon our age, will decide how trainable we are to go back into the workforce and do something new. If they think that we're young enough we can be retrained, then really any job in the national economy is open to you, even jobs that you may not necessarily know how to do or have any experience with. If you're under age 50, you're young enough to be retrained. If you're over age 50, your age starts working as a vocational adversity, and there's less opportunities that an employer is going to give you, less training they're going to provide.
Okay, but in reality, if you're young enough especially, they can send you into another field.
They can, yeah. And essentially, Social Security is going to be looking at simple, unskilled, repetitive 1 to 2 step jobs at a desk level. Imagine snapping heads on Barbie dolls. Because this is essentially a type of job that's available in the national economy. That's the burden to prove that you can't go back to even that level of work.
And let me ask about this. Do medical people make these kind of decisions when it comes to the SSA?
Yeah, that's correct. Initially, the disability determinations employs a number of physicians that review medical records and make the decision. If you advance into a courtroom setting in front of an administrative law judge, they're kind of a one person does everything type of a professional, and they'll evaluate the medical records, the applicable law, and then they balance the two and make a decision for you.
Okay, and we've kind of covered this. Can they send me back to something I don't know how to do?
They can. Yeah, we're young enough to be retrained. So, opportunities are abundant for people who are younger, only limited by their health.
And I guess they could send you back to what you've done before, maybe just in a different role?
They could, and there's some jobs that you gather some job skills that allow you to transition. So for example, if you were a roofing crew supervisor, you may be able to bid jobs, something that's significantly easier, but utilizes that same skill set.
But utilizes the skill set, okay. What jobs, we already did that one, sorry, it didn't change. Here we go. What if I disagree with their decision? Oh, I'll bet that never happens.
Yeah, so there's a couple layers of appeal, and it's real important that you enact those layers of appeal. As you progress through the system, there's actually a greater rule book and there's more arguments that can be made. When you get in front of an administrative law judge, they'll consider things like absenteeism, the need to elevate your feet, the need for extra breaks, percentage of time off task, a lot of those type of very real arguments that don't get much traction in the initial phases. So as you appeal, you get in front of a more comprehensive review and a more qualified decision maker a lot of times.
Yeah, this is all sounding like it's a good idea to have an expert in your corner before you start getting in this arena.
Yeah, there are thousands and thousands of pages of regulations that oversee the Social Security process, and you can't replace experience. Having done this for 19 years, I've got a pretty good read on what Social Security is looking for and how the process works, and we can kind of help with some of those missteps.
Well,
prevent
there
them.
you go.
Folks
yeah.
can find you at the Resource Center. of
That's
course.
correct, the 417-882-1800. We're doing Disability Process 101 conferences every Thursday at 2:30 and the first and third Thursday at 6 p.m. to catch folks who may want to come in the evening or bring family with them who's working. It's an hour seminar on kind of how to file, what programs are available, and how to avoid some of these missteps that derail claims.
Good stuff. Well, don't go it alone. This guy right here, Roy Rickstrew, is the one that can help you at the Resource Center. Good to
Thanks
see
for
you.
coming in,
Good to
Roy.
see you. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, up next, the Community Blood Center of the Ozarks is here with another win-win proposition for you.
We'll be right back with that right after this.